Good morning, Chica Pies. How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome to another episode of PJs and Coffee Time. I hope that when you saw this title in your feed, you went on and prepared yourself your beverage, got on your comfortable clothing, and you're all geared up to watch the video this morning. And to those who are watching for the very first time and have no idea what's going on, I first would like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and read the description bar below. It will tell you a little bit about why I choose to do these videos, how often I upload, just a little bit about the videos in general. And then if you need to, go ahead and hit the pause button and pick yourself out a beverage of your choice and get prepared. So by now you're probably looking at me going, girl, what is it on your head? What are you trying to prove today? Yes, I do have a big towel wrapped around my head. I washed my locks today, so they're nice and wet. And I have on my bathrobe because I actually just got out of the shower. So yeah, so I ask that you guys forgive me because I actually feel like I'm a little bit off today. I'm running way behind schedule. And speaking of running behind schedule, okay, I have to share with you all this mug. I'm drinking out of a mug today that says, I really need a day between Saturday and Sunday. Y'all, now how cool is that? This is a perfect mug for me today. I definitely need an extra day today. Like I said, I am running around. I have so much going on today and I am just way behind, including doing this video. I'm like, oh my gracious, am I gonna ever get this video up? I don't know. But it's been a hectic day already for me. And when I saw this mug in the store a couple days ago, little did I know that it was truly gonna be a part of my life so soon. Like an extra day so much. So the best thing about this mug that I absolutely love is that the writing is not only on the front of the mug, but it's also on the back of the mug. So I have it on either side, which you guys know very recently I mentioned in a video how I wish they would always do the mugs that way because I love being able to see the message on either side, whichever way I hold the mug. So that was definitely a plus. I was like $3.99 well spent. And then another really good thing about this mug is when you finish your tea or coffee or whatever, or when you're getting close to the bottom, there is a message that is at the bottom of this mug, like literally written on the bottom of the mug. And this one says, I don't feel like adulting today and tomorrow doesn't look good either. Y'all, once again, describing me to a T today. I am so not in the mood today. I really am not. So I do apologize in advance if I don't see myself today, but I'm just having one of those days. And then we have wind going on today. It's super cold here in SA today. And so oak is like all over the place. Pollen has got me like literally by the hair. I have been scratchy throat, and actually that's what happened when I did the video earlier. I kept having a scratchy throat. I kept coughing. Everything was happening. I think it was a little bit too early in the day because in the mornings when it's really windy like this, I tend to have a little bit of a raspy voice and cough, and it was just not happening. So I decided to do a retake. Now, I'm not drinking coffee on that note. I've actually had my coffee already and I moved on to something a little bit cooler today. I am actually drinking a tea that I picked up at Trader Joe's and I have to share it with you all. It is such a good tea. Now, if you like black tea, this is going to be a fan fave. Now this tea is called Tehava Original Black Tea. Again, like I said, I did purchase it at Trader Joe's. This bottle was $1.69 and it is an unsweetened tea, so you're able to sweeten it with whatever sweetener you like. If you are someone that don't want real sugar, you want to use a natural sugar or whatever, you can definitely sweeten it with whatever sweetener you want. I actually used a little bit of stevia in my tea today, and so that is what I'm sipping out of my mug. And guys, when I tell y'all it is so good. Okay, I think I just wasted some of it. My goodness. And it feels so good on my throat. So what I have on my face today is Estee Lauder Idealist Pore Minimizing Skin Refreshener. It's one that I've had for a while and kind of hadn't been giving it any love lately, so I thought I would put this on my face. So that's all I have on my face today. And then so what I have on my lips today is First Aid Beauty, which you guys know I've featured this in like pretty much all my PJs and Coffee Time videos because that's usually the only thing I have on my lips, which I am getting low in this. This stuff is absolutely very, very good. It's a lip balm. It's an intensive ultra lip balm and it's so good for the lips. I have super dry lips and I absolutely love this stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the video, shall we? Because I have a lot going on today. Like I said, I got things to do, y'all. So you read the title of this video and you're probably going, oh my gracious, girl, what are you about to tell us? So yeah, I have a true fear of water. I have had a couple of really serious incidents in water that have given me more reasons than one to be afraid of water. I'm gonna take you back to when I was a little girl. I was no more than probably anywhere between 7 and 9 years old. I honestly don't remember the ages because this has been a very long time ago, and it's not something that I literally sit around and think about on a daily basis. But when I did the video the other day of me being in the gym, and I just was kind of like, you know, I read a comment from one of my subscribers, and she was saying she didn't like water either. And I thought, you know what, there's probably someone else that have the same, you know, feelings, or, you know, the same fears or whatever about water that I do, or, you know, this, and maybe have never even voiced it out loud, or, you know, never really talked about it, or, you know, or maybe don't even realize that they have like a fear of something because maybe something that happened to them in their life. But about 9 years old, I was at a lake with my family, and a couple of my cousins and I decided to go in the water, and we took one of those little floaties into the water, and we were kind of hanging over the top of the floaties with our feet dangling at the bottom. We were still in water that we could stand up in, but, you know, we were at a good floating area. Like, we could actually float a little bit on the mat, and we could, you know, also walk if we needed to walk. And all of a sudden we see these boys come from out of nowhere, and they thought it was going to be the coolest thing in the world to flip over our little floaty. Well, when they flipped over our little floaty, unfortunate for me, I somehow or another got trapped underneath the bottom of the floaty. And I can remember, like, it was just such a scary time for me. I remember that water just hitting my face, and I felt like I was not in control. Like, I could not catch my breath, obviously. And I was just, I remember fighting and fighting and fighting, and I could hear people talking all around me. And I was like thinking, do they see me? Do they know where I am? Can they see me? Can they see me? And I heard the whistle blow from the lifeguard, and I could hear my cousins and them calling my name, and I could hear my mom saying my dad's name, and my mom was saying it in such a heartfelt sound, like she was like, James, James. And then I could hear my brother calling the boys, you freaking idiots, what are you doing? And I could hear all of these things going on around me, and I was like, it was like I could hear it, but I couldn't control myself. Like, I couldn't wake myself up. I couldn't make myself talk. And I was like trying to say something, and I was like, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? But no one was responding to me saying those words. And so I could hear the lifeguard saying, sweetheart, 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 sweetheart. And I was like trying to respond, but I couldn't respond. And then all of a sudden, I just remember opening up my eyes, and I was just like, where am I? And my mom, with tears in her eyes, says, oh, my baby girl, my baby girl. And the lifeguard going, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. And my brother's face of like anger and you know, being afraid, and like it was just like he had like all of these facial expressions. And I looked around, and I was like, where's my daddy? And my dad, you guys, if you don't know my dad, you wouldn't understand this. But all my life, until my dad passed away, actually, I'd never known him to be any other way. He could never handle like things when they were happening, like if, you know, if I was sick, or if you were hurt, or, you know, in trouble, or, you know, like something was happening. He was that person that had to disassociate himself from the situation. Like, he couldn't handle seeing someone in pain, or that fear of the unknown. He would just have to walk away and just kind of handle it on his own. And so he had walked over to a tree, and, you know, like he was literally like, his knees were buckling. He was just in like a moment of panic, but he could not be around me because he was just so afraid for me. And I can remember like kind of like just like, you know, like rubbing my face, and I was just like, I don't understand. Like, I was like, what happened, Mom? What happened? And I was like, my heart was beating really fast, and I was like, and then it was like I looked out at the water, and I started to remember like going underneath the water, and then it was like, and then I woke up, you know. And so I developed a real fear at that point. Like, until then, I don't think I'd ever feared water, even though I was not a swimmer, and I didn't like ever like get into water like on a regular basis. Like, we would go to the lake, and we would just kind of like float around just like in the little shallow areas, but I never feared water. I was just like, water's water. But at that point, I remember becoming very fearful of it. I like looked out for the first time and saw like the entire lake, and how like this water was the unknown, and like it looked dangerous, and it looked scary. And that was my first like thought of ever having a fear factor of water. And then a few years later had passed, and I still had that fear. From that point on, I never really would go into the water. I would just kind of like walk along the sides of the water, but I never would get in the water. And I remember my parents having a conversation and my sister making a comment like, you guys should probably put her in swimming lessons because, you know, she needs to not be afraid of water. And so my parents ended up putting me into a swimming class, and there was a young girl in the class that I had become friends with just through our family. My father was a gospel singer when I was younger, and her family went to a lot of the programs, and so she and I had actually become friends. And so it turned out that she and I were taking the class at the same time, and I think it was no more than maybe our second or third class that we were sitting in, and we were there sitting on the side of the pool, and the instructor was going over like, you know, the do's and the don'ts and what we're going to learn in this class, and, you know, just like giving us like the whole rundown of the class. And, you know, we're sitting there, we're all paying attention, and then all of a sudden I hear this noise, and it was like and I was like, what was that? And as I'm saying that, I'm turning myself to my friend because she was sitting right next to me, and I look over and she's literally falling forward. And I was like, what are you doing? You know, and, you know, I was no more than probably 12 years old, maybe 13. I don't really remember how old I was. But in my mind, I was not picturing that anything serious was happening. I actually thought she just decided to like be a clown and like jump in the water in the middle of class. You know, I was just like, are you crazy? You know, you're going to drown, girl. You don't know how to swim yet. We haven't even had any classes. And, you know, I'm like thinking this to myself, and, you know, and I have like kind of like almost like a, not really a smile, but like a, like, what are you doing look on my face. And but as I'm looking at her, I see her face fall forward into the water, and I can remember like it was yesterday, seeing the face as it made the connection to the water. And I was just, at that point I realized that something may not have been right, but I still did not realize the seriousness of it. I still thought that she was kind of playing some kind of prank or being silly in the class. And then all of a sudden I hear the instructor, you know, like the water just, you know, where the instructor is swimming over to her. And then it was just like everybody's like running, and like, you know, like people are just like, help her, do something. And you hear all this commotion going on. And then I see the paramedics come in, and I'm like, I'm still sitting there kind of like confused. Like, why is she doing this? Like, it never dawned on me that something was really wrong, because at that point, I was associating it that she was being silly and she just like jumped in the water. And then I heard the paramedics talking, and they said, you know, that she didn't have a chance. And I was like, what do you mean she didn't have a chance? Like, you know, they're not gonna let her in the class anymore? Still just not registering. Well, then her parents had come inside, and I remember seeing her mom just like cry, and I was just like, what is going on? And then the instructor said, you know, we're gonna cancel class today, and you guys, you know, your parents are on your way to pick you up, and everything's gonna be fine. And I was like, then it started to hit me, because I realized that they were taking her away and that she wasn't coming back, that she had passed away. My friend actually did not drown. She actually had a heart murmur, and her heart stopped beating when she was sitting on the side of the pool, and she fell into the pool, but she had already passed away. There was no water in her lungs. They said that she did not drown by any means, but unfortunately her heart had given out on her while she was sitting on the side of the pool. And so at that point, I'm like I blamed the water still. Like, I was like, you know, like I kept thinking that when she hit the water killed her in my mind. Like, I was just like, it was the water's fault, like, you know. And I was remembering when I was in the lake before, and I was underneath, and I could feel the water in my face, and it was like I couldn't escape it. It was just like water just hitting my face and hitting my face, and then I could see her face as it was hitting the water. So it was just like face water, face water. And so I was just like, you know, I can't believe this is happening. And I remember when my parents got there, I was like, I don't ever want to get in a pool again. I don't ever want to be around water again. And I just like stormed off. And my mom was like, baby girl, you know, come here, come here. And I was just like, no, no. And I remember thinking that night, I was like, I don't ever want to be around water again. I don't want to go to a lake. I don't want to go to a pool. I just don't want to do it. And so my brother was telling me, you know, he was like, you know, it's not what you think. It's like water is a dangerous thing, sweetheart. But all of these incidents, you don't have to be afraid of water. But in my mind, I was like, nope, nope, nope. I can't do this anymore. So fast forward to when I am now an adult and I am married, and I realized one day that I didn't take showers. I was like, we were talking like amongst a group of people, and they were talking about, like, you know, taking showers and washing their hair in the shower, and I was thinking, oh my God, I would never wash my hair in the shower. Like, how does someone do that? And I was just like, you know, and I kind of like dismissed it to myself. I am so sorry. My allergies are still acting up really bad. So I just, you know, like, in having the conversation and listening to people talk about washing their hair in the shower, and I'm just like, that is not happening. I'm like, how does someone do that? And then I really started to like look back over my life, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I don't take showers. I have taken them before, but like I would be in the shower and I'd like keep my head and my face like as far away from the water as I could. In one of the houses that we lived in, we had it was a 2-bathroom house, but in the bedroom, the master bedroom, there was only a shower. And I remember thinking, you know, I need to shower more than take baths, because then I can do it in my own room. And so I was like, I would really be in there like contemplating to myself, like making sure my face don't get wet. It was just really weird. And I kind of kept it to myself. Like, I never really told anybody that this was happening. I would just kind of like be in there, you know, handling my business. And then when I would get out, and a lot of times I would find myself going to the sink and actually washing my face in the sink. And it was until one day when my husband, my then husband I should say, wanted to take a shower with me. And I was like literally I was just like, what? And he was like, let's take a shower together. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to take a shower with him. I don't want him to put water on my face. And so at that point he realized that I did have this fear. Until then, I don't think he had any clue that I had this fear of water hitting my face. And that's really what it is. The fear was more of water hitting my face. And I think it was because of all the things that had happened around my face as far as with the water, the bad things. And so we're in the shower together, and I kept backing up every time, you know, like when he's washing his body, you know, the water's splashing a little bit, and I'm all like backing up, and he's just like, honey, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't want the water to hit my face. And it would be like, and then he, you know, he was just like, duh, you know, like, it's gonna hit your face, like, you're in the shower. And then I think he realized at a moment that I was like totally in a panic mode, like, you know, like I'm breathing hard, and I'm just like, and I felt so out of control. Like, I felt like I couldn't control what was happening around me, and that any minute I was going to be immersed in this water. And so I got out of the shower, and he was like, honey, I'm sorry. Like, you know, like, he was very confused. And then I remember I was like, you know, I need to share with him what is going on, even though I didn't know what was going on. So I kind of told him a couple, like, the things that had happened to me, and he was like, wow, that's pretty scary. Like, I didn't realize that it happened to you. And I was like, yeah. And I said, so I just don't like water hitting my face, okay? And I just like dismissed it like that. Well, then fast forward a few years later, I had my son, and I realized that I was teaching my son to be afraid of water also. Like, I didn't allow him to be around water, and I was very cautious of like water hitting his face, because I didn't want anything to happen to him. And so as a part of that, he was learning to have a fear of water hitting his face, just like I was. And so needless to say, he was not swimming or anything like that. Well, one day in an apartment complex that we lived in, there was a merchant seaman in the pool doing some of his tactics and, you know, whatever. He was a military, you know, he had his military gear, you know, he's out there trying some of the things and doing all kinds of stuff. And I remember my son just kind of walking over to the fence, and he like placed his little head, and he's like literally staring into the fence at the guy, and the guy was like, come on, little guy. And I was like, and he goes, he's like looking at his equipment like, ma'am, I know what I'm doing, like, don't be afraid, like, you know. And so I didn't think my son would go, but my son actually walked over to him, and my son was just like mesmerized at like everything that he was doing. And a long story short, with a few little tactics that he did with my son, the next thing I know, him and my son were literally going under the water and coming back out. And every time they would do it, I was just like, you know, and the emergency room was just like, don't panic, like you don't make, you know, like you're gonna make him afraid, like you just be calm. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then my son developed a love for water. Like right now my son swims like a fish, and he he fishes, and he loves to go fishing, and he you know, he loves the water. I mean, he's actually been a lifeguard. He's just like just the water is his thing. And I was like, you know, so happy as a mother to see him loving the water that way, because honestly, the funny thing about it is I had the same love for water even though I was so afraid of water. And what I'm afraid of the most is, like I said, is I'm afraid of my face making contact with the water. And so for me, seeing my son have that love and that appreciation for water, it just really made my day. And then as I fast forward a little bit further, I was probably my son was probably more or less maybe about 12 or 13 years old now, and we had gone to a pool party, and some of our friends decided that they were going to push me in the water. And when they pushed me in the water, I was like, oh my gracious, like I'm like fighting. I remember hearing like the water splashing, and people, I could hear noises around me, and I was just like fighting, and I was able to come up a little bit, but the next thing I went right back down. And when I went back down, I remember hearing my son saying, "I got you, Mom." And he like literally scooped me up and he pushed me up out of the water, and I was in like the 6 feet water, and you know, and my son got me out of the 6 feet water, and he got me over to the side, and then one of the guys pulled me up out of the water, and I could hear people saying, "You idiot, she can't swim." And he was like, "Well, I didn't know that." And they were just like, "You don't push people in water, like why do you do that?" My son, I remember my son being a little kid, and he was like, "Don't you ever touch my mom again, don't you ever touch my mom again." And I was like, "It's okay, baby, my mommy's fine, mommy's fine." And I was just like, but I just remember thinking, oh my gracious, like it has happened again. And so to this day, y'all, I am terrified of water hitting my face. I am able to now take a shower. Like I just said, I wash my hair, and my hair is wet, and I actually rinse my hair out in the shower. I actually did it the day before the video because I wanted to prove a point and be able to sit here in front of y'all and say I did this, and I can do it. But again, I still have to be very much in control, and at times I do get very panicky. If water gets too much into my face, I will start to be like, no, 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 and I'll push myself away. So that's why when you guys saw me in the video and the water got in my face, I know you probably saw like a little bit of a panic, and how like a lot of times you see me, I'm like kind of like I'm like not comfortable with being like out in water where there's nothing for me to hold on. Even if my feet touch the ground, the bottom of the pool, I'm still very, very uncomfortable. So yeah, so that is why I have this fear of water. It's not so much a fear of water, but it is a fear of water hitting my face. So that's why I have this fear about being in water, because of the experiences that I've had surrounding water. But I still love getting on boats. I still love going to the lake and beaches and being at the pool. I just will not immerse my face into it. So yeah, I have actually thought about swimming lessons as an adult. I did try it, and it just still was not working. I cannot, I won't trust anyone. I just can't. So at this point, I am not a swimmer. I cannot swim. I've never had swimming lessons, and I have no desire to do so. But I will continue to like water the way I do. I just won't immerse my face into it. So thank you guys so much for sharing this moment with me. My battery is literally flashing, and I'm like trying to like finish this video up really quick because I don't want it to end without me saying my proper goodbyes. But again, thank you guys so much for sharing PJs and Coffee Time with me, and I'll see you guys in my very next video. Bye.